Okay, I need to have a conversation about Roman Atwood again because people all of a sudden have start coming back to my channel with their, of course, abusive conversation. And keep in mind, if this guy has, oh, I don't know, 500,000 followers, and he used to have 15 million followers, but he quit being a YouTuber for a little bit, came back, but he was a family-friendly vlogger that I watched every single day. I've got Smile More merch in my house, and I really liked his channel. But when he came back, well, he started doing podcasts. This clip right here is a podcast. Now, he was somebody who, he didn't talk politics, he didn't talk religion, although you kind of knew that he did become a Christian through the years of him being a YouTube, family vlogger. He started out as a prankster, and then he turned into family vlog. And so then he started doing podcasts, and that's really when, like, I believe the true Roman Atwood came out, and he was a person who, he said he converted, I believe, after his mother's untimely death, and he became a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So he said. And so he was really strongly opinionated. He stood for what he believed on his podcast. He would talk about things that were very controversial, that Christians are often persecuted for, and there's a lot of controversial debate, and and it's faith related. So when he started using his podcast and talking about politics and talking about his faith, that's when he really, for the first time, he faced heavy, well, I wouldn't say it was a lot, but there were a few very large YouTube channels that were talking very negatively about him. We're talking channels with millions of views. And that was just because when he came out talking about his faith. So here he is in this clip. He's talking about, there was some Teflon lawsuit, and he's talking about how he's not going to sell his soul for nothing, and what he cares about stuff that they're doing with children, and it just was very, very, I believe that this wasn't for a show. Was not being done to promote his platform, but I will tell you what happened when he started selling witchcraft stuff in his store recently. And I called them the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I did record the conversations with them so people can hear that no, this is not okay, this is not accepted. And he was rejected, his business was rejected, what he was doing was rejected by the person who was saying he didn't even believe that this guy was a member of the church because of the things he was doing. I'm like, no, I really don't think, and you can hear it, the conversation was played, I did it in a video, I said, I don't believe that this guy was just pretending to be a Christian. I think he's just somebody who's just fallen by the wayside. And I personally believe that the reason that he's kind of abandoned his faith and the ways and the beliefs of his faith is because he faced heavy persecution. This is where then the Bible where it talks about, Jesus talks about where your faith and disease aren't built on sand, or it's built on good solid ground, because you're going to face negativity if you're speaking for the Lord. It's not going to be all peachy keeney stuff. It's hard. It's hard to be a Christian in this day and age, because if you actually, and I'm not talking about like judging the world because they're living in sin, in 1 Corinthians chapters 5-9, it talks about we're not here to judge the people outside the church, but to keep our walk righteous before the Lord, so the church and the ministry is not to be blamed. And so when you do speak, if somebody's doing something that is harmful to the church, then you speak to them with humility, and you speak to them with love, and as if you care about the person, you want them to turn from what they're doing. And so that was, I don't know what the other people are saying or whatever. Okay, but this is what he says in this clip right here. He's talking about the satanic stuff being pushed on YouTube. And now, this was June of 2023, and here a year later, after he talked about this stuff, he has completely abandoned this idea, and now he's selling stuff that represents witchcraft. It doesn't mean he's a devil worshiper, it just means he just doesn't care anymore. Talking about it being pushed heavily. And here he is now pushing it himself. He's saying the good family content is being pushed out. Well, I agree with that. It is. He says, I've learned that through my vlogging, and I'm still holding to his family values, because he ain't selling his soul for nothing. That's what he said. Oh, but he cares so much when they start selling it, trying to sell it to kids. And he has a lot of young viewers. A lot of young viewers. And acting like witchcraft items is okay is very harmful to the church. This is how much estimated that he paid from YouTube. This was his family vlog. It was highly popular. He didn't have any cussing. He didn't take God's name in vain. He didn't sell voodoo dolls or witchcraft or any of that other kind of stuff. But he's left that. He's no longer doing podcasts. Now he has this laundromat and car wash, and it's all about just, I mean, he's just a different person. They're all taking God's name in vain now, and they cuss. And if you, as a Christian, try to say anything about him saying, you know, selling witchcraft stuff, then he's just nasty. But it's not just him. It's the people that's attracted to his channel now are just people that's operating through demonic spirits. They just say horrible, ugly, nasty things just for the simple thing of saying this is not something that the church he claims to be a member of accepts. And to ask for prayer for him. When somebody asks for prayer for somebody else and you're attacked for that, that's from Satan, okay? So it's really sad then when somebody has been very blessed. And here's the thing, somebody can have a lot of success. It doesn't mean they're blessed. Never, ever, ever forget that, okay? Having a lot of money and having a lot of success does not equal Christianity, okay? It's just sad that because he didn't face the persecution and hold on to his beliefs, instead went in the opposite direction. So I will continue to ask for prayer for this person, okay? But the Bible also says after the first or second admonition, reject them. You release them to the Lord. Okay, but I think it's okay to still pray for that person, but I have called the church, and the church, as if you go back and you listen to the videos where I wanted people to hear what the church had to say about what he was doing, and it was not okay. So I'm going to play it again. Here is the church leader of the church he claims to be a member of, and talking about the voodoo dolls that he was selling back in the summer. And I don't see them anymore in his video, so I don't know if he's still selling them. But, I didn't do it to, condemn him. I asked them, first of all these people, these millions of people who have followed him, and the youth who are attracted to his channel, and him representing the church and claiming to be a member of this church, especially in the year where the same summer where a woman who also of the same member of that Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints was on trial for torturing her child and is now in prison. As if the Mormon Church didn't have enough bad publicity for 1 year. First we got a woman going to prison for torturing her child in a horrible, horrible way. And now we got this guy selling voodoo dolls. Okay, and this church member says no.
Here?
Here we go.
And I promise you, if he's selling voodoo, he's not in good standing in his branch of the church.
Well, it was,
He wouldn't allow that.
Right. It's this lady that he owns this lawn.
So I explained. So again, I explained specifically what it was. It was a doll, but it doesn't matter. If it's a doll that's a voodoo doll, it's identified as a voodoo doll. Everybody knows what voodoo is. It's not okay. It's not a light thing. So the fact that he's got people who are just abusive verbally, and then this is what he says about people who are calling out. He says, yeah, those people, call me a devil worshiper. I don't know who those people are because nobody on my channel has called him a devil worshiper. But apparently he's being called out for, this stuff. Just shut up. Just shut up. Okay, that is not a Christ-like spirit when somebody's saying to you who's using your platform for profit, claiming to be a member of a church while selling voodoo dolls, telling people to shut up when they say that that's not acceptable to Christ. That's not a spirit of Christ. That is something that will bring judgment to his life, okay? And I've done what I as a Christian should do and anybody else, but when you do try to say to somebody if they're doing something that's harmful to the ministry or harmful to their own soul, do it with love, do it with prayer, okay? And you've done what you can do, and you've just released them to God. But it's sad. It makes me sad because this Roman Atwood, this is the Roman Atwood that I was thankful for. When he was like being brave enough to go on a podcast and speak for his faith, okay? And sadly though, his faith was on sand because it's like the negativity that he got from those bigger YouTube channels that was saying negative things about him. Okay, they never did that before. He was on YouTube for a long time. I never saw any channels like that going after him until he started talking about his beliefs. And now he's being Mr. Nasty. And the people that are attracted to him now are being Mr. Nasty to people who are trying to speak up for the Lord and for protection of the church. Now he's, you know what I'm saying? So anyways, but, people fall. They falter in their faith. I've faltered in my faith. We got to pray for each other that we stand up against persecution. It's not easy being a Christian, people. It's not supposed to be easy. It was never promised to be easy. You're going to face, persecution. And if you just go through life, and not speaking up for the word of God, then, Paul was always in trouble. Paul was always got people hating on him. He was in jail. He was imprisoned. You know what I mean? He was always having some kind of tribulation. That's pretty much realistic. There's people around the world. There's a channel today, talking about how people are in prison for their faith. And it was a beautiful song that she wrote. She's actually a personal friend of mine and fellow veteran. And that's the reality. People are being executed. People are in prison. And that's the reality of Christianity, is that it's not easy to be a Christian. Your faith and your strength is still being thankful in a time of persecution. Okay, and I'm not going to change my conversation and my speech and my position because people are bashing me with nasty comments. I praise the Lord and whatever, I'm not going to change my speech. Okay, I'm not going to do it. And I just hope and I do pray that he will stop doing what he's doing and realize that you can't love the world and God at the same time.